I thought I'd dye another apron like the one I wear in most of my videos, so I tried. It didn't turn out quite as I had hoped. I'm going to let you know, I'm going to show you the process, and then at the end I'm going to discuss why it didn't work out exactly as planned, but also why I'm still happy with it. Okay, let's go. Hi. So today we're going to dye some aprons. I'm going to do an ice dye on these guys, and the first thing I did was throw them in the washing machine and give them a wash, get off any oils or anything that could be on them. Sometimes they come with, I don't know, maybe sizing or something, and they just don't take dye. These are 100% cotton, and so I washed them, dried them, and then I soaked them in a soda ash mixture. And then I spun them out in my Panda spinners, and now I'm going to set them up to dye. There's a million ways to dye. This is just what I'm doing. You can do it. You can dye any way you like. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a line across it where I'm going to gather up along. So, and this will wash out. That just gives me something to follow. I think I'm not going to use the gloves. And then I'm just going to gather it up along that line, trying to keep it as flat as you can without bouncing up. Gets a little difficult. I'm not too worried about it being exactly perfect. I'm not looking for any specific, starburst or anything. Okay, and now I'm going to take sinew. I'm going to wrap it up. This is probably, I don't know, I want to say it's the hardest part. I find it tricky. Probably just don't have enough experience using it because this is not how I used to do things, but I think it actually works better. I'm trying to keep it on the line there. Pulling that as tight as I can. So there we have it. And now I want this to run down. I want the dye to run down here. So I'm going to set it on top of something so that it can, gravity can work for me. And let's try this. So if I lay this out here, these are dangling down. That's nice. You want the color to have room to travel and make little lines. Okay, if this looks like a crazy kind of setup, you're right, it is. I'm working with what I've got. I mean, as long as you follow the basic rules, which is using soda ash, getting ice on there, and dye, then it should work out. Okay, so I'm going to use Orange Crush by Dharma, and the second one will be Raspberry, again by Dharma. So I'm going to start with Orange Crush, and then some Raspberry. Okay, I think what I'll do is pour the ice in the colander, and then I'll put it on top. Well, I'm going to start like this. I have a bad habit of just trying things, and they don't always work out. I guess that's okay. That's how you learn, right? Sometimes I'm not sure I learn from my mistakes. I think it'll be okay. I'm going to let that go for a little while. I'm going to keep my eye on it. I'll keep coming back and checking on it. I'll most certainly need to add more ice, but I'll see how the dye goes. I might need to add more dye. But I'm going to start with that for now, and I'll come back and check on it. So we've got some action happening. Oh, some of the ice has melted. It's funny how that raspberry's breaking out with blue. It's interesting. All right, some more time has passed. This is where we're at. I'm trying to show you without going all the way around here. Let's see. It's looking pretty good. There's a lot of white. I'm going to, we still have lots of ice in here, but there's still plenty of dye there, but I'm going to add a little more dye. I'm going to go a little heavier handed. There's no right or wrong. You just do. And then it is. And some raspberry. Oh, I forgot to bring my ice with me. Well, I'm going to put this back on top. And then I'm going to go upstairs and grab some more ice. And I'm back with more ice. Can you see what's happening in here? Oh, it looks pretty cool. We'll see what happens. Oh, look, there's like a little swirl here. Okay. Okay. Well, add some more ice up here. And now I'm going to let it sit here until morning, and I'll see what it looks like when I wake up. All right, it's the next morning, and this is my first peeky poo with this. Wow, whew. I guess I added quite a bit more dye. It's a lot darker than I was expecting. Oh, we've got some light spots in here. Let's see. What's over here? Oh, well, that could be interesting. Let's see. Yeah, all the ice is gone. All right, well, I think we're gonna let that sit for a bit and then we'll move on. You can see there's a lot of guck still on top. I'm going to pour some very hot water over it. It's called hot water irrigation. This might alter it just a little bit. Boiled some water, and I'm just gonna ladle it on top. We'll see how this works. Everything's an experiment. I mean, it's always suggested that you leave ice dyeing 24 hours after the ice has melted. And I'll be honest, I've never, ever done that. I always think it's just, there's no rules. You don't have to do, you do what you want. Like, I don't know. It's like I don't have a specific outcome in mind. I guess maybe that's the difference. If you really you want to, maybe do something exactly the same way you did it last time, then you have a little bit of a specific idea in mind. But I just sort of like to see what happens, and I don't feel like I have to get any specific result. And I've done a lot of dyeing, not a ton of ice dyeing. I've done a fair bit, but I mean, I've made a living for 8 or 9 years doing dye work, and everybody always says to let the dye sit for 24 hours, and I never have. Maybe I did in the beginning, and then I realized that's not necessary. Isn't it funny how the dye sat right here, and then this is the spot where it looks pretty light? Okay, I think that's enough. I'm going to rinse this out, and then I'm going to boil it. All right, I'm going to try and move this so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to take this off of here. Whoop! Great. Move it into my sink. And I'm making a big mess, but that's okay. We're in the studio. Okay, I took a minute and tidied up because I don't mind making a mess, but I don't like working in a mess. So we're going to take off this twine. I'm just going to rinse this a little bit more. I'm not going to rinse too crazy because it's going into my pot and it's going to boil for a few minutes. Good. I'm glad. I didn't really want it to be as dark as it was, so I'm glad this is coming out a bit. All right, let's throw it in and see what we get. So the pot of water has a little touch of Blue Dawn in it to help get out the extra dye. This will get out any dye that's not adhered. This little boil. I'll just give it a few minutes. Now I'm using cold water. See, it's coming out clear. And I'm going to pop this back in my spinner. Squeeze out what I can. The spinner is going to get out all the water. If there's any last little bit of color, that'll come out. So there you have it. It's going to dry. This fan on here, and then I'll press it out in a bit. It's pretty. It's soft. Softly colored. So, as you see, they came out quite different. And I think the reason is, again, like I said, I don't ever let them batch for a full 24 hours. And when I did this one, it was summer, and I left it outside, and it was really warm, and it batched outside. And I think that's why I got these vibrant colors. This time, of course, I was doing it in my studio, which is in the basement, and I didn't let it batch very long at all. So luckily for me, I have 3 more of this exact same apron, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice and do some more. And I mean, I'm probably, unless if you guys want to go on that journey with me, by all means, I can record it. If not, but I'll probably just pop them in my shop for sale. And like this one's going to go in my shop for sale too. If you liked this video, you'll probably also like this one or this one. I'll meet you there.